We are entering the final phase of the CBDC rollout, the 2026 Cashless Trap that removes your permission to exist without state oversight. This isn't just the future of money. It's the architecture of total financial surveillance. To understand how this cage was built, we have to look at what they are taking away from you right now. Central bank digital currencies aren't just the future of money, they're the architecture of total financial surveillance. And the blueprint is already drawn, right now. Cash gives you one thing the system can't stand: invisibility. When you hand someone a $20 bill, there's no record, no timestamp, no geolocation, no algorithmic profile built around your purchases. But that freedom, that last sliver of financial anonymity, it's being systematically dismantled. Over 90 countries are currently developing or piloting central bank digital currencies. That's not a coincidence, that's coordination. And what they're building isn't just a new form of money, it's a Panopticon where every transaction you make can be monitored, analyzed, and if necessary, denied. But to understand the architecture of how we got here, how the very definition of money became a tool of control, we have to go back to a secret meeting on a private island, where a small group of men rewrote the rules of American finance and set in motion a century-long plan that's reaching its final phase right now. Jekyll Island, November 22, 1910. 7 men board a private railcar in complete secrecy. No last names, no public record. Just first names and a mission to draft the legislation that would create the Federal Reserve System. These weren't elected officials acting in the public interest. These were representatives of the most powerful banking dynasties in America: Morgan, Rockefeller, Kuhn, Loeb and Co. And they understood something the common man didn't. Whoever controls the money supply controls the nation. 3 years later, the Federal Reserve Act passes on December 23, 1913, while most of Congress is home for Christmas. And just like that, the power to create money is transferred from the US Treasury to a private banking cartel. The official story: stability, protection from bank runs, a safeguard for the American people. The reality: a centralized mechanism to manage not just currency, but behavior. Because when you control money, you don't just control wealth, you control incentives, risks, and ultimately, compliance. These architects didn't view the economy as a free market. They viewed it as a blueprint to be managed. And every crisis since, from the Great Depression to the 2008 collapse, has been used to justify one thing: more centralization, more control, more power concentrated in fewer hands. Here's the trick they don't teach you in school: money isn't created by hard work or productivity. It's created by debt. Every dollar in your wallet was loaned into existence by a bank, and it comes with interest attached. Think of it this way: the central bank is a casino that prints its own chips. You work 40 hours a week to earn chips that they can create with a keystroke. And every time they print more, your chips lose value. That's not a side effect, that's the design. Inflation is a hidden tax that steals hours from your life's work, and you never even see the thief. But the real structural coup happened on August 15, 1971. That's when Nixon severed the dollar's last tie to gold. No more redemption, no more backing. A promise backed by nothing but trust in the system itself. Before 1971, if you didn't trust the government, you could demand gold. After 1971, you got paper. Or more accurately, you got faith, a faith that the people printing money out of thin air wouldn't destroy its value. And for 50 years, that faith has been eroding. The trap was simple: remove the constraint, expand the supply. And when the consequences arrive, when grocery prices double, when housing becomes unaffordable, when the middle class is hollowed out, blame everything except the money itself. Blame corporations, blame foreign nations, blame greed, but never, ever blame the system that created the conditions for the collapse. Because here's what they learned: physical cash is a problem. It's anonymous, it's peer-to-peer. It can't be tracked, frozen, or programmed. And if you're trying to build a system of total economic compliance, cash is the enemy. In 1971, the average American home cost $25,000. Today, over $400,000. A gallon of gas, 36 cents. Today, $3.50, a loaf of bread, 25 cents. Today, $2.50. That's not economic growth. That's currency debasement dressed up as progress. And now, in 2024, the system is showing cracks it can't hide. Inflation is back. Banks are failing. The national debt is spiraling past $35 trillion with no plan to ever pay it down. The very architecture built at Jekyll Island of the promise of stability is collapsing under its own weight. But the architects aren't panicking. They're adapting. And their solution isn't to fix the system. It's to replace it with something they can control even more precisely. Enter central bank digital currencies. China's already running the pilot. The digital yuan tracks every purchase, flags suspicious spending, and integrates seamlessly with the social credit system. Buy too much alcohol, your score drops. Donate to the wrong cause, your account gets frozen. It's not money anymore. It's a behavioral control mechanism disguised as a payment system. And the West is following. The European Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, they're all developing their own versions. They call it modernization. They call it efficiency, but strip away the marketing. And what you're left with is this: programmable money. Programmable money means your dollars can have rules attached, expiration dates to force spending, geographic restrictions, merchant whitelists. And if the government decides your politics are problematic, they don't need to arrest you. They just turn off your ability to buy food. This isn't speculation. In February 2022, the Canadian government froze the bank accounts of truckers protesting vaccine mandates. No trial, no due process, just financial excommunication. And they did it with the current system, a system that still has cash as a fallback. Now imagine that same power in a world where cash no longer exists. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, and the rhyme scheme is getting louder. The ledger of history is rarely written by the many. It is carved in the dark by the few who understand that money is not wealth, it is permission. Permission to eat, permission to travel, permission to exist. And when that permission becomes digital, when it flows through servers instead of wallets, it stops being yours. It becomes a privilege granted by those who control the code. The architects of Jekyll Island understood something profound. You don't enslave a population with chains. You enslave them with convenience. You make the cage so comfortable, so efficient, so seamlessly integrated into daily life that they never realize they're living inside one. The Federal Reserve was the first cage. Central bank digital currencies are simply the upgrade. Because here's the end game they won't say out loud: cash is friction, cash is resistance, cash is the last transaction the system can't see, can't tax, can't control. And in a world where every behavior is monetized, where every choice is tracked, where every dissent can be financially punished, friction is freedom. They didn't build this system overnight. They built it over a century, one crisis at a time, one emergency power at a time, one temporary measure that became permanent. From Jekyll Island to the gold shock, to the 2008 bailouts, to the pandemic money printing, every step has been a move toward the same objectives: centralized control disguised as economic stability. And now we stand at the threshold. The final piece of the puzzle is being put into place. Not with violence, not with revolution, but with an app on your phone that promises security, convenience, and speed. All you have to do is surrender. The one thing you didn't realize you still had: the ability to transact without permission. The question isn't whether this system will arrive. The question is whether you'll understand what you're giving up when it does. Because once financial privacy is gone, it's not coming back. And the men who designed this architecture knew that from the very beginning. But to understand where this architecture was first drawn, where the blueprint for centralized monetary control was drafted in absolute secrecy, we have to go back to 1913. To the moment 7 men rewrote the American economy in a single week and buried the evidence for decades. That story, the original coup that made all of this possible, I've broken down for you right here.